Good morning, everybody, and welcome to, get the camera right, there we go. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to my channel. Hi, I am Juliet, and this is Colorful Threads Embroidery. So, starting with a little bit of background, welcome. I have been doing embroidery for 21 years, all on commercial machines and on the Melco brand machines. I have been a certified technician and instructor for Melco for 16, I think I'm going on 17 years actually. So I know the machines inside and out, and I'm here to convey as much information to you as I can. And today I wanted to do a tech tip again. So another thing that I run across pretty regularly when I sit down to a machine to do a tune-up is the hoop arms are not installed correctly, and they're not aligned correctly, so they're not clipping in right. And sometimes when I'm sitting and I'm working on the machine, before I even get to that part of, checking this to see if it's been adjusted correctly, I'll hear things from the client like, my lettering just isn't looking clean, it's looking kind of funky, it's just not pretty. Lettering will exaggerate any issues you're having with your machine. And one of the quickest and easiest ways to clean up your lettering is to make sure that your hoop arms are installed correctly and adjusted properly. So what brought this to light for me was I'm an operator. I run my machine and I do embroidery. And I noticed when I was doing some patches the other day that my hoop was moving me, right? So are you going to actually move the camera? Ooh, I have a cameraman today. So what I noticed, come closer to here. What I noticed was that when I would clip my hoop in, and then I just kind of pulled back on it a little bit, this side was moving. I don't know if you can hear that. Hear that little tick? I'm just moving the hoop frontwards and backwards just a little bit, and it's making a ticking noise. That's a problem. This is going to give us unclean embroidery, because if the machine is sewing, sometimes the hoop's going to be forward, sometimes the hoop's going to be backwards, and it'll make your lettering look jagged and unclean, like it's something wrong with the digitizing when really it's just this. So I'm going to show you how to make sure everything is done correctly and these hoops are put together properly, and we're going to fix this so that I can get better sewing myself. Okay, start with, let's take the hoop. I'm going to loosen everything up. So, we'll pretend that then I had to take my hoop arms off of the machine. Actually don't have mine powered on, so that's fine. It doesn't have to be on. So for some reason, I had to take my hoop arms off of the machine, and now I'm putting them back on and getting them some flat embroidery. So if you notice, when you put your arms on, there's a little bit of play in this arm. And if I finger tight these screws down, there's still a little play. And that is what we need to make sure that we adjust correctly. So a little play, and I'm going to kind of just make these just a little bit, not too floppy. And all you're going to do is, you've got your screws in place, you're kind of ready to go. Take a hoop. Doesn't matter what hoop it is, as long as it fits the size you're doing. It can be empty. We don't even have to have the back ring on it. I'm just going to throw all that on the floor. I'm going to take the top because that's what's going to lock in. And I'm just going to go in, and it's kind of loose and floppy and wiggly, but I'm going to slide it in until it locks. When it locks, I know that the clip that holds the hoop in is in position. Now, I'll come in and make sure the finger tight, but I'm going to grab the outside edges of these arms and push in. And there was a little bit of movement, and you could even grab and just do a squeeze. That'll work too. You're making sure that that hoop is in there and there's no chance for the hoop to move left or right for any reason. Once these are squeezed together or squeezed in, I double check my finger tight and I'm going to grab my tool and now I'm going to tighten it down. And I kind of hold it so it doesn't have a chance to move while I'm tightening. And this is that 1/4 to 1/8 of a turn, just enough to make it snug so it doesn't vibrate loose because we don't want to break off our screws. Get that one tight. I come to this side and I'm just going to hold it and give that 1/4 to 1/8 of a turn to my screw heads again. All right, so that's nice and tight. So now when I slide the hoop in, it's going to lock every time, no problems. All right, now let's talk about this gap here and the movement of my hoop going from front to back and how to fix that. First thing you're going to have to do is go and dig in your tools. And you're going to hunt for, I use a driver. It's a 5.5 millimeter. I don't even know if you can see that, probably not. But it is a 5.5 driver. Hunt for this tool. This is the important part because this is the size of that screw head here. So you can do when it's powered, you can actually grab your arms and you'll move your hoop front to back slowly. It'll move. Or if it's powered on and you find this, press your emergency stop button, which will kill the power so that you can then move this carriage. Because you have to move it out far enough that you can get to these screws. About right there looks good for me. So that I can put my tool like this. Because if they're back in here, I can't get to them. So, here's my screw. This is my nut that I'm working on. Nut, not screw. Here's my 5.5 millimeter, and it's going to work these nuts. These nuts are holding a sandwich of things together. And I'm going to take this all apart. You don't have to, just to kind of show you what's going on in here. Here's how these hoop arms are assembled. Got that nut right there, make sure I don't lose it. You have your top piece that locks your hoop on, and then you have a little plastic bracket piece underneath here. So this is your gap, so the hoop goes in, and this is the pressure to lock it down. So this little plastic piece in here has slits in it so that it can move front to back to adjust to to hold your hoops tight. I can speak English today, I promise. Get it put back together. Okay. Now I'm going to put my nuts back on. Put my tool down. These things are tiny. They're like working with grains of sand. All right. Get these on here. So you do not have to take this apart. I just wanted to show you what's going on in here. Okay. So now that this is all nice and comfy and loose, I'm going to put my hoop back in so that I can get these adjusted properly. Anytime you buy new hoop arms, like if where the metal's a little thinner and it breaks and you need new, you're going to have to adjust this clip. So my hoop is in. Now there's a lot of play in there. So I'm going to grab my Allen wrench and I'm going to slide that little black clip forward so it's nice and snug so there's no play for the hoop arm here. And holding that with the tool, I'm going to tighten this nut down. And it doesn't have to be like super duper tight. I mean, a couple of turns, you don't want to break it. Now, with this little clip moved forward, your hoop arm should be nice and tight and not move. This side is nice and tight and doesn't move, but if it did have play, I would just loosen these, push that clip forward with a little tool, screwdriver, tighten it back in place. Now, your movement front to back is going to go away, And any small lettering that you were having issues with, looking kind of muddy, is all going to go away. Back up. So, this is my tip for today. Thanks for joining. Hi. It's very different having a camera guy. Again, 5.5 millimeter nut driver, and of course your 6 millimeter Allen wrench are the tools that you need for this project. But check your machine, slide a hoop in there, see how it fits, make sure it's nice and snug. It'll clean up some of that muddy little small details that you were having some issues with. Let me know how it goes. Let me know if you have any issues. Give me a link in the comments. If you haven't done so already and you're enjoying my tech tips, please subscribe to my channel. If I helped you out with today's little tip, give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to hit the bell for all notifications so you see anytime I go live. So have a